Hello and welcome to Fusion Fundamentals with me, MJ. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to make a dice, or a single die. Dice is a die, so we're going to have a look at how to make the six-sided die. So stay tuned and see how you go. So I've just inserted a canvas on another tab here, just so that we have a technical drawing to work off of. I'm going to start by drawing the cube and then add in the dots for the 5 and then working around until we got them all, and then we'll add the fillets around the edges and the corners. So I can see that this is 14 by 14 by 14. I'm going to go into my other tab here, and there's more than one way to do this. We could draw a sketch 14 by 14 and extrude it, or we can just go to create and box. It'll ask us to select a face and go on the top plane here, 14 by 14, press enter. Now it's going to ask me for the depth or the height, 14. So there's a single step in our history over there. There's no image or sketch and then extrude, it's just one step. So we've got our cube. I'm going to use my top plane as my reference plane with the 5 dots. So if I have a look at the technical drawing, I can see there's a 5mm gap between each of them, and they're centered around that center one. So let's start by doing a sketch on this plane. I'm going to P for project. I'll project this whole face. So I've got these corners to work off of. Line tool and construction line. I'm going to draw these lines across. Give me a center point as well as the lines to work on. C for circle, and we'll snap to center there. I think these are 2mm. Let me just double check. It's got a radius of 1 if I remember correctly. There we go, radius of 1. So the circle diameter will be 2. So we'll just draw our 5 circles. You can kind of snap them onto this line and get all 5 in place. I'm doing these sort of off center on purpose so you can see the effect of the restraints, the constraints. So I set a horizontal constraint between this one and this one, and they'll line up. Set a vertical between those ones and that one. So now they're all lined up. So if I have to drag one of them, they'll all move. But we know they're 5mm apart, so I'll just add a 5mm dimension in there. It's not letting me dimension, so select it. My computer's freezing up a bit. There we go, 5mm. And now that's constrained all of them. So to get the holes, or the little grooves, we could draw a circle and revolve it around to kind of scoop that out, like if you've got a ice cream scooping out of the dish. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to extrude in and cut all 5 of these. It's -1mm. And then I will use the fillet tool. Make sure you're selecting the correct face, it's the sunken part. And then we will fillet them, 1mm. Now if I look at that, we've got those quite nicely in there. So now we go back to the technical drawing. Above the 5 we've got the 6. They're 2.5mm apart, 5mm apart on the horizontal plane, and just centered around the midline. So that would be 2.5 mils either side, left and right. So I'm just going to draw a couple of construction lines on that face. So scroll down to the top, create sketch on this plate, and project. So now I've got these sides to work off of. Line, set it to construction. I'm going to snap the center there. Cut, line. So I selected line, cut, 3, 2, 1. So we've selected line tool and construction. And we're going to slide it along here till it snaps the center. There we've got our center. And I'm going to do 2 more. Doesn't really matter where we're going to constrain them now. So now I'll just dimension these lines off of this. They were 2.5 either side. What am I typing in there? 2.5 millimeters. And the same for that one. Once we've got those in, I'm just going to select line tool again, construction, and snap to the center over here. You can see there with that triangle, and that looks good. So we're doing this 6 side over here, 2.5 mils between each of them, 5 mils. So we've got that, those 2 vertical lines that they're running on, and the center line. So C for circle, take off construction, and I can do these 2. See where it snaps to the midpoint there, and then these top 2, doesn't matter really where on this line you do them, as long as they snap to that line. And then one thing we can do is we can put a horizontal constraint between the 2. And we know that it said they're 5 millimeters apart. So, sorry, 2.5. Is that correct? Looks quite close. Yeah, 2.5 millimeters. And then we can either repeat that step, or I can just mirror these 2 entities. Select the mirror line as the center line. And then we've got the 6 side. So now I will extrude, select all of them, -1. And then we get fillet tool. Make sure we're selecting the right surface. And 1. So there we see we got our nice side. So we've got a 5, we've got a 6. So I'm just going to go back to the 5. And then if I roll to the block on the left of the 5, we've got the 3. So we can see they 5 mils between the top horizontal and the bottom one, and they're 2.5 mils apart. So I'm just going to make sure we're on the right side. Yep, roll it over, and we're going to be working on this side now. Don't know why it flips it like that, but just confirm. Yep, correct side. And I'm going to project this so we got that outline. We're going to do a couple of construction lines. So select line tool, type is construction. I want that line, and then a center line here. Then I'm going to go to circle. I'll draw our 3 circles. The first one will be in that midpoint there. You can see that one's fully constrained. Next one along this line, doesn't really matter where. Also on there, Now if you really wanted to, you could do some maths and work out what the hypotenuse would be between a right angle triangle, or you can just do a construction line here. So do that, and I'll do another one going up. And then the distance between this line and that point is, sorry, actually need to make this line a bit longer, so I'll redo that because our distance is to the top one. So we got that there. Distance, exit the line tool. Distance is, we got 5 millimeters. And then our distance to there is 2.5. And then it shifts along nicely. So we got that there 5 and there 2.5. Well, that should be 2.5 there as well. From this line to there, yep, that's 2.5. It's telling me it's over constrained, but there are our 3 circles. Again, we select them all, -1 millimeter, and apply a fillet tool. Okay, so we'll go back to our 5 side. Now we go to the right, we got 4, then we go to the right again, we get 2. So let's start with the 4. So go to the right, we want to draw on this face, and just making sure we're in the right direction. Doesn't really matter with the 4 though, because I think they're all equal. So P for project, project that face, and we're going to select line tool, construction line. So we've got those 4s coming down. I'm going to do a center line, and then another 2 vertical lines. So this is what our 4s are going to run on. Make sure that they perfectly vertical. I can see they're 5 apart, 5 apart, so we could have just drawn across. But anyway, so that means these lines, 2.5, and then this is, you can either make a 2.5 from there or 5 from there. It's really up to you. Just means that this line is now driven by that line. So if I had to change this to 1, it would shift the whole thing up. But let me just undo that. Okay, now we'll start by doing our circles. Let me take off construction. 2 millimeters. These can be kind of anywhere on these lines, so long as they're linked to the line. And then we'll use a horizontal constraint. So select that one, and now all I need to do is set the distance between one of them, and it'll be 5. And then I forgot I need to do this same construction line from the center point. Okay, so now they are constrained to one another. So as I move this, moves a whole lot. So now I can just do this and dimension it against the center line in that circle, 2.5. You can see they've gone black and they're fully constrained. Now we repeat the same step. We'll do this for each side. Select each one, -1, cut in, fillet, select each hole, and we want a 1mm fillet. Okay, so there's our foreside. We know we roll over again to the back. This is where our number 2 is going to be. So it's running that direction. I'll just draw a line across there. I'm assuming that they're 5mm apart, like before, and 2.5 from the midline. It doesn't give the dimension there, but I will just work on that they're the same as the others. So create a sketch on this plane, or on this face rather. Project. So now we've got the whole outline, and we'll just do 2 construction lines here. Let me select construction. Top right to bottom, or top left to bottom right corner. Snap to midline. Here we go. Now C for circle. We'll snap it onto this line. Doesn't really matter where, because our constraint will determine its position. So now you can see they can move anywhere on this line, not off the line. And now for a dimension to the midline, 2.5. There's only 1 point on that line that it can be constrained to. So there we go, that's our 2. I'll select them, -1, cut, fillet, 1. There we go. So now we've got everything except the 1 which goes on this side. So the 1, we don't need to measure that, we know it's dead center. So project, and we can draw a construction line. Can either go from corner to corner or midline to midline. I think just to be different, let's go midpoint. And the midline there. So either way that gets us our center point. C for circle, and snap to it there. See, it's gone black, it's fully constrained. So now we're going to extrude, -1, fillet, 1. So we've got all our sides numbers in. Now we're going to put in the fillets on the edges. You can see, look at that edge over there. There's one called a rolling ball and one called a setback. So this is a rolling ball. I'll show you the 2 different ones when we do it now. So we're going to fillet. If we did not have these holes, we could just select the whole face. It's a 1.5, but you see it does it to our holes as well, so that doesn't work. Let me just double check that it's a 1.5 there. Yes, it's a 1.5 radius. So what we're going to do, we're going to fillet and select each line. So we select these lines individually. I think one more line. I think that should be it. 1.5. Okay, so here's what I was talking about, the rolling ball versus the setback. Setback changes the way the corner looks, and according to our diagram, that's what we got. So there we've got our whole model, but I'm just going to add a bit of color to that. I'm going to right click on here, change the appearance. Now I want a red for the dice, and then white little blobs. Acrylic red, that looks good. So if you could drag it over a face, and then it just applies it to the face. We're going to apply it to the whole body. So remove what we've applied to the face. Actually, that's not so great because it's see-through. So let's go with this glossy red. Apply it to the whole body. There we go. And there has actually a white right here. So we can't apply this. It'll go over the whole body. So we're going to select faces. So select each face. Drag the white and you see it drops it right in the face. So yeah, let's see if we can get both sides with one operation. There, I dropped it over the body instead of the faces we selected. Let me just do this. Okay. So how many sides left? We've done 3, so that leaves us with 3. Make sure. Last one. Close. And there's our dice. If you want to view it without these lines, we can go into the rendering side of the software. I haven't had a lot of experience with that, but top left, go down to render, and we can see that it renders our image in a more realistic way. You can adjust your scene settings here. Like, I'll just take that shadow away. You can adjust the brightness. And that'll just give you a more realistic view. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you need to get in touch, you can contact me at fusionfundamentals@gmail.com. Email address is in the description. Till next time, bye.